Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about Zombie. Zombie, he spelled it the correct way with an X instead of a Z. Zombie, we found him in a dumpster behind the hospital eating a bunch of brains he had found. And there was, we weren't looking for a wrestler, obviously. We were pretty fucking like, oh crap, we better get out of here, the zombie's gonna eat us. But he was so full that he didn't even come after us, so we sat there and we watched him. And what was weird was when he was done, he like by the dumpster, we followed him back to his place when he was done, and which was like this shack out, way out off of like where Tracy Boulevard dead ends over there by 5. I mean, we followed him all the way over. He was on foot, and he's not fast, so it took us like 3 hours to get to his place. But once we got out there, what we found was insane. This zombie, I guess not a dude, this zombie had this, outside of his shack, this whole Jimmy rigged wrestling, like, training set. And he had like these weird looking dolls. I mean, they almost looked like, oh, they weren't dolls. Those were probably dead people. But he would wrestle those dolls. I mean, we didn't get too close. But then he wrestled something that looked like a human being. And he would do all these, we'd watch him, he'd do all these moves and shit, and it was like, geez Louise, this dude is amazing. I mean, this zombie is amazing. It was incredible, the moves that he could do. And, Jeffrey Buchanan, who was tagging along with us, actually he was being really whiny. He couldn't shut up about wanting to go to Baskin Robbins. And so, but he saw that, and he said, geez, man, we've got to find a way to get this zombie in CWF, because, I mean, the things that he can do with those dead bodies, whoa, put them in the ring. I mean, we're talking, geez, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, Jeffrey Buchanan was very impressed. So, but none of us were like, hey, I'm not going anywhere near that zombie, no way. And so that was the biggest issue, was finding out, all right, who's going to be willing to approach this guy. And it turned out to be Max Booty. And the way Max Booty won his trust was it was like a showdown, basically. He drove out to the shack where Zombie was, and again we had who was tailing him. We had one of the younger wrestlers tailing him. Maybe it was one of the Contras. Maybe it was Ralph or Sergey or Jesse Bombastic, or maybe they were like taking turns. But we were waiting for him to eat some more brains, and then radio back to the studio to say, hey, okay, he's heading back to the shack. He's full. He won't try to eat your brains. So once Max heard that, he jumped in his Maxmobile and drove out to the shack. And of course, he was real wary, but he approached Zombie, who was in the middle of doing some, practice moves. Zombie dropped whatever he was doing, probably dead body, and came up to put his face in front of Max Booty's, and even Max Booty was a little scared. I mean, who knows what a zombie's gonna do? But he kept his cool, and he offered up for a test of strength. Zombie looked at his hand, looked at Max's hand, outstretched. And then you just saw his body relax. It was like this slow, like an E.T. moment when he goes, E.T. phone home, and they touch him. It was like he reaches out all slow, like he's making a connection. And then that was the beginning of the friendship. They actually hugged immediately afterwards, and and from that point on, you know, when the rest of us couldn't get near him because he'd eat our brains, Max was the one guy who could always talk to Zombie and get him to, you know, hey, we're not eating brains. This is all wrestling right now. And the way he would do it was he'd just go back to the test of strength, and that was their move, you know. And that's what actually Zombie would do that when he felt like, hey, I need some help, and you know, please, because he can't talk, you know, hey, I'm not feeling good. You go up to Max. Oh, hey, test of strength. And so yeah, that's how Zombie came into the TWF. He ended up becoming one of the top wrestlers in the whole Fed. In fact, I think he was the world champion. And him and Max Booty had some amazing matches. And there's a amazing three-way between Max Booty, Zombie, and Jake of all people, and that was just one of the best matches we had up to that point. And you know, the three kids that had showed up to watch the taping, they all agreed. Of course, that was the only taping they'd ever gone to, so it's really hard to take their opinion seriously. But that's the story about Zombie.